My 27F ex-26-man dumped me in January after 9 years together because he didn't think I was wife material. Now he's reached out saying he needs to get something off his chest, and I honestly don't know why he's doing this or if I should meet him. I was with my ex, let's call him Nate, and if I'm being honest, minus betraying a friend, I was basically a Cassie. I don't want to get too deep into the details, but for the last 9 years, I completely lost myself in Nate. He was my world. Everything I did was for him. I helped him through depression, helped him get and keep his grades up, and even worked 2 jobs so he could focus on college while I was a college student myself. His parents disowned him for nearly 3 years because they didn't agree with his major or school of choice, and I stuck by him through all of it. When his parents finally started talking to him again and began supporting him financially, we moved into a new apartment. Nate told me he wanted me to quit my job. I didn't, because in his words, it was his turn to take care of me. For the next 16 months, things were great. He spoiled me. But then I noticed he was becoming more interested in his new friends, sometimes ignoring me completely. In December, he suddenly did a 180 and started love-bombing me. He went all out to make Christmas magical. I honestly thought he was going to propose. On January 2nd, he made my favorite dinner and gave this emotional speech about how I was his first love and how I'd been there since high school. I kept thinking, any minute now, he's going to ask me to marry him. But no, instead, he dumped me. As his speech went on, my world fell apart. And as much as he tried to sugarcoat it, the message was basically, you were a good girlfriend, but that's all you'll ever be to me. I don't see you as my wife or the mother of my children. You served your purpose. I need someone on my level. You're a gold digger. I'll give you 30 days to move out. I couldn't speak. He just stared at me, waiting for a reaction. I think the silence lasted 20 minutes before he said he'd sleep in the guest room and walked out. Strangely, I didn't cry or get angry. I just ordered cardboard boxes online and went to bed. The next day, I waited for him to leave before coming out of my room. Then I called my boss and begged, really, if I could transfer anywhere. She said nothing was open at the moment, but if something came up in my department, she'd consider me. After that, I reached out to everyone I knew who wasn't also friends with Nate, looking for a place to stay. My cousin came through and offered me her spare room for as long as I needed. I could move in right away, which was a lifesaver. In the 4 days it took me to pack and leave, I didn't see or speak to Nate. I doubt he even noticed I was gone. At the time, I didn't trust myself not to respond to a "you up" text, so I blocked him and everyone close to him. I even changed my number and email so he couldn't contact me at all. The first night at my cousin's place was when everything hit me. I cried every night for the first month. I felt awful, like nothing. I kept replaying what Nate said in my head. It made me feel so low, like I'd only ever been convenient. Thankfully, my cousin called in reinforcements, my mom, other cousins, and real friends, for what was basically intervention. I really, really needed it. Honestly, I don't think I would have made it through that first month without her. I'm still healing, still waiting on that job transfer, because I feel like being out of the city, away from Nate, and in my own place would give me the fresh start I need. I thought by now I'd be a distant memory to Nate, but shockingly, he sent flowers to my job today for my birthday, which was on Sunday. Apparently, he even went to my parents' house looking for me. My mom told me he's been there before, dropping stuff off and asking questions. But they told him the flowers came with a card that read, "Dear Cassie, happy belated birthday. I've been thinking about you nonstop for the last few months, especially about how everything ended. I need to get something off my chest, something I feel will haunt me for the rest of my life if I don't tell you to your face. But I have no way of contacting you. If it's possible, can we meet up in the near future? Nate." What could he possibly want? What's so haunting that he needs to say it face to face? Everyone in my life says to ignore him, but they also hate him. I'm torn. I can't lie. My curiosity is telling me to meet him and find out what he has to say. Has anyone else been in my shoes? Or in Nate's? Update. So we ended up meeting, and no, I didn't go to him. I had told the receptionist at work that if he ever showed up looking for me, just say I was out for the day. After he came by once, I didn't want any drama around my job. So Nate just kept showing up at my usual spots. The grocery store I go to every Saturday evening, the park I run at on Sunday mornings, his words, until he eventually ran into me. And he did. Yesterday, he was waiting at the coffee shop I always stop at after my morning run. When I saw him, I tried to turn around and leave, but he kept calling out to me. I figured if things went sideways, a coffee shop would be a safer place to deal with him than my walk home. So I sat down and asked him what he wanted. He gave one of those non-apology apologies. You know the kind. Full of "I'm sorry, but" and "feel bad for me" energy. He blamed his mental health, his job, his parents, his friends, basically everyone but himself. I took someone's advice from here and said, "Cut the crap. I already know everything." He looked genuinely shocked and just stared at me for a second. I guess he thought his coworker had already spilled the truth, so there was no point in lying. Here's what really happened. He fell for a girl at his office. When he told me her name, I recognized her immediately. I've met her a few times. He said that for the last 2 years, he idolized her, and to be fair, she's beautiful and has an amazing personality. He said he hated me because I was the one stopping them from being together. His coworker was too classy to be the other woman. So when he broke up with me, he confessed his love to her, telling her he ended a 9-year relationship just to be with her. Well, here's where it gets funny. She doesn't even like him. She called him a piece of trash and told him if he ever spoke to her outside of work, she'd report him to HR. So I asked, what does any of this have to do with me? We're over. I've clearly cut ties. There's no reason for us to be speaking. He said he wanted to try again. He promised we'd get married before the year ends and said we belong together. I told him no, I'm nobody's second choice. He threw me away after 9 years and said some really cruel things to me. Now he thinks he can snap his fingers and I'll come running back? He started begging and fake crying, trying to bring up all the good times in our relationship. I told him to please leave me alone. He's already wasted too much of my time. I texted my cousin to come meet me at the coffee shop. He kept rambling nonsense, even suggested that if I went to couples counseling for a few months, he'd leave me alone. The 20 minutes it took for my cousin to arrive felt like 20 years. Eventually, I just stopped listening and stood at the counter, making small talk with the baristas until she got there. When she arrived, she told him and said if he tried to follow us, she'd call her brothers. As far as I know, he stayed in the coffee shop, and we just went home. That was it. It's only been a day, but I feel like it's finally over, and I'm free of him.